Reading is so freaking hard, especially in today's brain-rot attention span economy where 5 seconds into scrolling on IG Reels, your brain is juggling work, sex, taxes, a TikTok of a chimpanzee making pancakes. It is impossible to read. There's already so many commitments, noise, distractions in your life that if and when you're to pick up a book, you want it to be groundbreaking, to immediately improve your life, to make you feel more well-read, smarter, clever, wiser, whatever it is you want, which is where this video comes in. You see, I've spent the last few years digging through all the freaking boring ass textbooks, the overrated Reddit recommendations, the recycled top 10 habits garbage to bring you 42 books that actually change the way I think, I speak, I work, and connect with people. And before you roll your eyes, these aren't just my random hot takes. I went full digital archaeologist. I cross-referenced podcasts, interviews, private book lists, all this shit from the top entrepreneurs, creators, philosophers, and world-class performers. I scavenger hunted, stress test, studied what the smartest people alive are actually reading because I don't have a life. And no, these books aren't dense. They're not dusty little flexes. As someone who spent 4 years in college in a meaningless communications major, I read books in core classes about disability studies, art history, gender politics, you name it. The most pointless freaking texts on the face of the planet. So trust me when I say, nothing pisses me off more than when somebody recommends a shitty book that wastes your time and convinces you that this is a reason you hate reading. You don't. You're just smart and allergic to garbage. And I'm confident that just one of these, especially in the top 10, will change your entire freaking life. They're readable, they're underrated, they're punchy, the kind of books that actually stick with you. So what I did is I split them up across the stuff that actually matters. Business, relationships, psychology, autobiography, history, fitness, philosophy, all this shit that's related to real life. And here they are. Book 1, The 38 Letters from John D. Rockefeller to His Son. The craziest shit is this was never supposed to be a book. There's no agenda, no publishing company, no ghostwriter, just 38 private letters from a poor church-going boy who clawed his way out of obscurity and poverty to also become the richest man in modern history. Not by chance, not by inheritance, but by having a system and mastering the cold mechanics of reality. This is him writing to his son towards the end of his life about everything, how to think, how to build, how to win. Book 2, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I take notes, I swear to God. This book is like reading a Twitter thread from a monk who also invested early in Uber and became a multi-freaking millionaire. He built startups, made millions, sat in rooms with the most powerful people in Silicon Valley, but then he did something even way harder. He learned how to be happy. Not the kind of happiness that comes from dopamine hits or success metrics, but the kind that comes from knowing exactly who the fuck you are. This book wasn't even written by Naval. The author is called Eric Jorgensen. He reverse engineered every tweet, every podcast, every interview to create a modern day playbook of how to win at life without losing your soul. And the best part, it's short. Every page is a mic drop on business, on life, on philosophy. Every line makes you pause and rethink the entire way you approach money, time, fame, meaning, work. You'll walk away smarter, sharper, clearer on what matters and what absolutely does not. Number 3, the charisma myth. This shit was so good I had to put the little sticky notes on top because it turns out charisma isn't just for actors, cult leaders, or that one guy at the party that everyone knows that has an aura. It's a skill, a science, and according to this book, it's learnable. Olivia Fox-Cabane, a brilliant, soft-spoken French author with the presence of a TED Talk speaker and the precision of a sniper, breaks charisma down into a formula, one that has stuck with me for years. Presence, power, and warmth equals charisma. It sounds obvious. I don't claim to have the 3, but the book will help rewire how you carry yourself in rooms, how you speak so that people lean in. It's about making people feel like they matter just by the way you listen. If you've ever rehearsed how to say hi before actually saying hi, if you've ever walked away from a conversation overthinking every word you said, this one's for you. Book number 4, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, a classic Maybe you've read it, maybe you've not. Written by a Holocaust survivor who became a successful psychiatrist. It's not a light read. I got it on my 18th birthday, but it's a necessary one. Viktor Frankl, the author, lost everything. His family, his freedom, his future, and still chose to live. And this isn't a typical deep dive about what happened at Auschwitz. It's probably even more haunting. It's a psychological breakdown of the different types of people and how they responded to the unimaginable suffering of the concentration camp. The fifth book is Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. I swear to God I read this. I'm not LeBron James where I just pull out the book. You know what I mean. Everyone is obsessed with what's new. New tech, new markets, new trends, new threats. The book is a sobering reminder that history doesn't repeat. We do. If you want to win at business, relationships, investing, or just life in general, stop chasing what's next and start studying what never left. Because the people who thrive long-term aren't the ones who predict change. They're the ones that understand what stays the same and build around it. Number 6, Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It's a book that begins 14 billion years ago and then continues on to the 3 different types of revolutions, the cognitive, the agricultural, and the scientific. This isn't just a history book. This is the greatest book ever written on evolutionary psychology in the world. Number 7, The Psychology of Discovery and Invention by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Mihaly spent decades interviewing Nobel laureates, groundbreaking artists, scientists, and thinkers to answer one question: what does a creative life actually feel like? It's a deep psychological x-ray of how to maximize our creativity, how to start that business, how to develop something that's good and tangible that people will love. Number 8, Mastery by Robert Greene. You might know Robert Greene from the 48 Laws of Power, but I swear to God, this is his best book yet. Forget hustle porn. This is about real greatness. He maps out the path from going from clueless beginner to obsessed student to unconscious genius. He puts mastery is not a function of genius or talent. It's a function of time and intense focus. If you've ever asked, how do I stand out? This is probably your answer. Number 9, The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. This is Machiavelli meets military meets modern Twitter beefs. This book doesn't just teach you strategy, it teaches you how to think strategically. From mental warfare to public comebacks, it's the manual for anyone tired of being manipulated. In the book, it talks about how everyone is playing a game. The only difference is some people know it and others don't. The book will make you violent and make you dangerous, the type of person that wins in office politics and in life. Number 10, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. I was recommended this book by Joe Rogan. It's the anti-procrastination book. It slaps resistance in the face and calls you out on your own BS. It's a short read. It's 100 pages. It'll tell you that resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing the work. It will perjure, fabricate, it will seduce you. Read this if you've been working on a project for 6 months and have 2 Google Docs to show for it. Number 11, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Look, love him or hate him, this book hit. Not because it's perfect, not because I'm part of some self-proclaimed manosphere, but because it tells the truth. He puts, to stand up straight with your shoulders back is to accept the terrible responsibility of life. Number 12, Adrift by Scott Galloway. This one's like your angry uncle who actually knows what he's talking about. It's gritty, it's stats heavy. He goes off on the collapse of young adulthood, mental health, economic inequality. 15, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This book will teach you how to negotiate as if your life depended on it. The author Chris Voss negotiated with terrorists. Now he's teaching people how to handle landlords, clients, passive-aggressive I'm fine text. 16, Memories, Dreams, and Reflection. This is Carl Jung's personal diary. He wrote the book when he was 81 years old. He explores dreams, trauma, what he calls the shadow, and why we're not really in control of ourselves as much as we like to think. This is a great book if you've ever wondered how to interpret your dreams, what to look out for. It's certainly not an easy read, but it's honest, strange, and weirdly healing in many ways. So if you ever feel lost in your own head, this book will meet you right there. G-Man by J. Edgar Hoover. Probably the longest book I've read in my life. It's over 600 pages. It reads like a thriller, except it's real and horrifying and about our own intelligence agencies. J. Edgar Hoover was the most powerful man in the 20th century. He didn't just shape the FBI, he shaped modern paranoia, surveillance, smear campaigns. You'll come come out realizing that privacy was a myth long before the iPhone, how the intelligence agencies spy on us, and it's also a masterclass in understanding political fear and how to use it effectively and how certain people are able to stay in power for so long. 18, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is cool until you realize the guy writing it was literally running an empire while we can't respond to a text. This is pure distilled wisdom, no fluff, no flex, just a man trying to stay calm while Rome crumbled. The Dip by Seth Godin, a very short book, I think it was 50 pages, pretty much on the importance of quitting. Starting is easy, quitting is easy. The Dip is that dark, confusing middle where most people will ghost their goals. He puts winners quit all the time. They just quit at the right stuff at the right time. Book 20, Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. This is a 600-page case study in obsession, chaos, genius, and ego. Again, I read the whole thing from start to finish. I swear to God. I gave it to my friend because Elon Musk is only the most controversial person in the world right now. But whether you love him or hate him, this book explains how someone can turn vision into actual rockets. I didn't walk away wanting to be Elon. I walked away realizing how it's often the worst qualities of a person that brings out the best in them. And that's true for all of us. Read the book and you'll get an insight into the human condition. 21, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. The Gospel of Creative Madness. Right before Steve Jobs passed away, he asked the author to write an autobiography about him. The book doesn't paint him as a hero. It shows him exactly as he was. Brilliant, manipulative, intense, and allergic to mediocrity. Great read for an entrepreneur or anyone that's ambitious. 22, Meditation for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. This is pretty much a reenactment of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, but with a more modern twist to it. Each of us are going to live approximately 4,000 weeks, which is 90 years. That's it. Read this book when you're done organizing your entire to-do list for the 5th time this week and still feel hollow. It's a great twist on where we are right now. 24, The 5 Types of People Who Can Ruin Your Life. Helps you identify narcissists, sociopaths, high conflict personalities that you'll come across at school or work. Some people aren't difficult, they're dangerous, and they make up approximately 5 to 10% of the population. This book names those high conflict personalities to look out for that are most likely to lie, manipulate, explode, or quietly destroy your peace. 25, Stalin, the Newest Autobiography. This one reads like Game of Thrones, except it actually happened. Paranoia, propaganda, executions at lunch. If you love Russian, Soviet Union, 20th century history, what are you doing? Just read the book. 26, Takedown by Lila Micklethwait. This one absolutely wrecked me. It's about the modern porn industry, the trafficking, the violence, the children, the billions that were made off of actual abuse. I first heard about Lila on the PBD podcast. She's this defense attorney turned activist who risked her entire career to expose how corrupt the porn industry is. If you struggle with porn, you're curious about the industry, read this. 27, Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. You can smell the testosterone on this one, but behind scary guy and the military bark is a truth nobody wants to admit. There's no shortcuts, there's no hack, there's only one way, so get after it. 28, The Ape That Understood the Universe. Imagine aliens observing Earth like a science project. That's this book. Evolutionary psychology, behavioral psychology, and why everything from jealousy to religion makes sense if you zoom out enough. 29, The Gulag Archipelago, a literary sledgehammer. It exposes the Soviet forced labor camps, but more than that, it confronts what happens when humans lose their souls in service of ideology. 30, The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. The news tells us that the world is ending. Ridley argues otherwise, that humanity is collaborating, innovating, surviving better than ever. It's a breath of fresh air in a doom scroll society, one overridden with news and politics and all this shit. You'll walk away remembering progress isn't always viral. Sometimes it's quiet and cumulative, and why we don't celebrate good news as much as we celebrate bad news. 31, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. You know that pulling an all-nighter lowers your cognitive function more than being legally drunk? Me neither, until I read this book. The guy spent 20 years studying sleep just to prove we're not lazy. We're just sleep deprived and emotionally unstable. The book humbled me more than any breakup, and it had me get maybe 30 minutes to an hour more of sleep. 32, Line by Sam Harris. The book is tiny, but it ruined my ability to be a good white liar, to say things like, haha, no worries, or let's catch up soon when I don't mean it. Sam Harris makes the case that every lie makes the world worse, even the ones we think are kind. I'm a big time liar. I lied for a long time because I care, but it wasn't until I read this book that I realized that in the truest sense of the word, lying is the royal road to chaos. 33, Einstein by Walter Isaacson. You think you're smart? This guy came up with E=mc² in his spare time while working at a patent office. Who does that? Because he wasn't chasing genius, he was chasing wonder. Imagination is more important than knowledge, he would say. The book will remind you that curiosity is much more meaningful than clout. 34, 1984 by George Orwell. This isn't dystopian fiction anymore. It's a mood board inspiration for half the tech industry. Orwell predicted surveillance culture, thought control, and the manipulation of truth. As he puts it, freedom is the freedom to say that 2 + 2 makes 4. Read it while you still have the choice. It's an absolute classic. Anyone will tell you. 35, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This one's old, like Bible, old in writing style, but the message is timeless. Your thoughts shape your reality. Give this to your old school uncle or grandfather because it will let him know that a man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. 36, Darwin, God and the Meaning of Life by Steve Stuart Williams. What do you get when you blend religion, evolution, and philosophy? Existential clarity or a panic attack. The meaning of life isn't given, it's created. If you've ever asked why you're here, this one answers it and then tells you to get back to work. 37, Alcatraz from the Inside. One of my favorite books this year. I got it when I went to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. It was written by a guy who actually lived inside the most infamous prison in America. This isn't a Netflix dramatization. It's a firsthand look at what happens when freedom becomes fantasy. It'll make you rethink every complaint you've ever made about slow Wi-Fi and give you insight into the most hardcore prison in American history. 38, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I get it, it's a little rah-rah. Beneath the American hype is a sharp psychological truth. You've already made the decisions. You're just waiting to act on them. Tony Robbins, obviously an absolute legend for the last 4 decades. He's so smart. He's much smarter than me. Tony Robbins, if you're watching this, I know you're not. I love you. 39, The Social Leap by William von Hippel. Ever wonder why do we care so much about what Becky thinks of our outfit? You can thank evolutionary psychology and the author of this book. It explains how social pressure literally shaped human brains. Read it and then stop wondering why a comment section will get you all pissed off. 40, Anxiety RX by Dr. Russell Kennedy. It's not another one of those just meditate bro books. This one's written by a neuroscientist who actually had crippling anxiety and used his experience in neuroscience to try to treat that anxiety. Anxiety isn't a mind problem, it's a body memory. Again, doesn't make much sense, but read the book and you'll see what I mean. 41, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. My second favorite book on creativity. It's a poetic manifesto from a guy who's produced everyone from Kanye West to Johnny Cash. The goal, as he puts it, is not to control the creative process, it's to become available to it. And finally, number 42, The Alchemist. One of the greatest books of all time, an absolute classic. The reason I started stand-up comedy, YouTube, and a few other things in life is from a quote in this book, which I want to leave you all with today. It's the possibility of a dream that makes life interesting. Good luck and God bless you. And even if you just read one of these books, I'm sure it will change your life because it certainly changed mine and many others.